I reversed the roles in K-pop Demon Hunters. I've been learning Blender for about 9 months and wanted to see if I could recreate the most popular movie on Netflix of all time, K-pop Demon Hunters. This movie blew all my expectations away. I went into it thinking it'd be decently good, but not this good, to the point where I'm basically listening to YouTube covers an unhealthy amount, and now also trying to recreate the animation myself. Also, when I saw Rumi's demon form in the movie, I just thought it looked super cool, and it really made me want to recreate all the HUNTR girls into their demon forms. So that's when I actually got the idea to recreate one of the best songs, in my opinion, and dance routines in the movie Your Idol, with HUNTR instead of the Saja boys. And here's how I did it. Starting off, I started making the models for Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Since the movie was so new, it was actually really hard to find reference photos, but I went really digging on Twitter, like endless scrolling on it, and was luckily able to find some pretty good reference photos. And the way I approached the modeling was that I already had a female base mesh, so then I just sculpted its face mostly to hopefully match the appearances of the girls in the show. And then after modeling them and finishing that up, I went on to painting them as well, and adding their demon markings, which took a decent amount of time. I made sure to also put like the colors that I painted onto different images. In other words, like different layers, like when you're drawing. So I did this because then I could freely manipulate things even after painting them. For example, like if I wanted to change the base skin tone from like, say, the pale to like a purple color, it would basically be impossible if all my paintings were on one image, since it would also change, like, for example, the color of the lips. But by having multiple images now, I can freely change the base skin tone without affecting any of the other colors. So honestly, this is something I just started doing recently, but it's been super useful. And then for their hair, I actually decided to use geometry nodes here to turn my geometry into hair strands, since I thought like Rumi's big braid would be a lot easier to do with geometry, and it actually turned out pretty decently. And the reason I did this also as well, instead of using like, for example, the hair particle system that Blender has, is because I thought it'd be easier to actually rig the geometry of the hair strands to move them around than trying to rely on the sometimes pretty buggy hair dynamic system that also Blender has. And now to move on to the environment, this actually wasn't too bad since it was just a big stage and nothing really too hard to model. The actual trickier part, not really trickier part, but the part that took me longer was that I recreated the entire background video that's going on in the scene. So I just did this pretty easily in After Effects, honestly, so it didn't take too long. And then also for the first scene that I'm recreating, the opening scene, you can see that there's like a huge crowd cheering the Saja boys on, and I thought if I were to do that like manually, it would take so long and I wouldn't be able to finish it. So I bought an add-on called Procedural Crowds to help me generate the large crowd in that scene. And then I created like the little fan sticks that they're waving around. I'm not really sure exactly what they're called, but yeah. So I just also then did like a quick up and down animation of these sticks and then changed them up a bit each time. So I had like 3 different variations of the sticks going up and down, just so it didn't look super uniform if like all the sticks were like going up and down at the same time. And then once I did that, I just used geometry nodes to scatter these 3 different variations across the entire crowds. And now this is honestly moving on to the hardest part of the entire project and the most time consuming is the actual animation. So before animating, you have to first rig all the characters, which just means like adding bones so you can then move those bones to move the characters. So I would rig the characters first using Blender's built-in Rigify. Then I'd also add more bones for like their robes that I made for them that the Saja boys wore in the film during the dance, as well as like the hangy string part on the hat. I rigged that as well. It was pretty simply modeling, nothing too hard, which was nice. And then after finally rigging everything, that's when I could finally work on the animation. There's honestly really not too much to talk about here, since I am really just copying from the movie, or I'm just doing this for fun, trying to recreate something I really enjoy. And I thought the animation was amazing in the film, so it's been a lot of fun actually recreating the movements and just seeing it come to life again. So yeah, this just took me quite a while, and after about 3 weeks of work in total, this is the Saja girls performing Your Idol.